All right, y'all can tune in now. I'm finished. I need y'all to back me up here. Are y'all asleep? Y'all probably sleep. Eric, are they sleep, Eric?
Greetings, Jelani. No, I'm not here. I'm listening. I'm tuned in. So
we're not sleeping. We hear you. We hear you.
I'm a little bit more kindler and gentler this Saturday. I was a little hype last Saturday. I'm sorry.
No need to apologize. The hype is important. Yep.
This game is about identity, people, and when you can when you can control identity, you can control so much. When you can control how somebody sees themselves, what they believe that they are, you can control what they do in the world. This is what's happening in America, and we have to take back control of yourself and your identity. So remember, this is a three-part thing, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? You guys have definitely done the first part. You checked white. You are now citizens of the United States of America. Now you have a responsibility to help create one nation, one category. As you learn this information, it's going to start to pour out of you. People are going to be trying to figure out why you so new, brand new. And it's because you left the exploited class. You have a knowledge of self that they don't have. And because you're not in the exploited class anymore, you can really feel like you home. You're not no African American where you halfway in Africa and then not even a citizen in America. You a refugee, you just out there. Now when you check white and you understand that you're not in that exploited class no more, you're not a refugee. You got a home now.
I got a quick question.
None of your questions are quick, but let's go.
I know, right? Let me reverse that. Reverse psychology. I have a quick question and see. No, I have a long question and then it'll be quick.
All right.
So, because I know African American is not the appropriate term. So, the term, like we hear the term like African diaspora or African descent. I mean, are those
what earthling is not of African descent? What earthling is not a part of the African diaspora? Didn't we all start there?
Yeah.
If I'm a European, right? And people be saying African diaspora, this, that, and the other, right? I got a choice. I gotta either choose that I'm not a part of the African diaspora, right? Like, I got origins somewhere else. Like, humanity started in Africa, but because I'm European, I started in Europe. Like, see, it's sometimes we got some of these things that we be saying. We gotta stop and be like, hold up, African diaspora, African. That's everybody. Why are we being exclusive? That's everybody. And see, this is the thing. When you get your humanity back, when race, right? When you stop seeing through, watch this. When we stop seeing through the fabricated stuff associated with race, oh, black people, all the dark-skinned people in the world come from Africa, right? That's some of that fabricated race bullshit. I'm like, everybody come from there. It's easier that way. Anyway, like, what, you know what I'm saying? Like, what decides now who came from who's part of the African diaspora? And you're like, who get to make that choice? That's what I'll ask. I'll ask you, who gets to make the choice who's a part of the African diaspora and who's not? Can you tell me how we make that choice? What would be your like,
I mean,
prerequisite?
our origins are like I was never in Africa. I mean,
Okay.
been here the whole time.
Okay.
They haven't
Okay.
been here the whole time. I mean, they never been to Africa neither.
Like
That's not throwing shade at Africa neither. I mean, or Africans, or
I would like to know who gets to make the decision of who is of African descent and who ain't. And see, when you can make sense of that to me, then maybe we can have that conversation. But humanity started. See, this is the thing. When I got my humanity back, I started looking for every excuse to link us all instead of all of these fabricated categories that keep separating us. If my skin was lily white, right, or pale skin or whatever, I'm of African descent because I'm human.
yeah. Crickets. Crickets.
But that's the way to. But isn't that the best way to answer something like that?
Yeah.
See, I can't see these narratives that we be given. I can't buy into those narratives no more. These things that even when I was black, that I thought was positive, like black, African, all of this African, back to Africa, this that, and I was like, man, I've been there and all that. The people, I don't want to have to choose. I want to belong everywhere I go. And everywhere I go, I take that attitude with me. When I was in Asia, I ain't know none of the language. But I was able to eat, sleep, go where I party, do everything I needed to do, a human need to do, without even having to use no words. Gestures. And when you do that, when you have an experience like that, you're like, why do I gotta be separated from these people? I've been there. I was with them. They embraced me and my humanity. They gave me everything that I needed. I had a great time. I was there a whole month when I was in Asia and got everything I needed. I had a total human experience without having to speak none of the language. When you do stuff like that, you're like, these people are me. Why do I have to look at them different, like they different than me? Why? Because race say that they Asian and I'm black? I ain't buying race then. I can't buy race then. My knowledge of self puts me in a position where I can't be sold race no more. Or all of the narratives that come with it.
There's some Asian, couple of Asians that have already said, like, we come from people who are African descent. They're not even they can't even argue that so much anymore.
Because we all won. We all won. And see, like you said, they understand origins of people and how everybody go back to one. But race in America has this fake barrier to where, the science really say we all won, but we pump this racial narrative so much, it's so important to us that even the backstory is that we all won. Even when the science say that, it still becomes a backstory that we all won. And it's still the Asians. We still figure out a way to categorize it. And those are the things that we got to resist, because our knowledge of self will beg us to resist those type of things.
Even I mean, I practice Buddhism. There's these like events that people can go to. There's a culture. Well, yeah, there's a culture center, like a Florida Nature Culture Center in Florida, and they have different events. Like people who are in the arts, people who have families. There's different categories. But I noticed there's one where they have a seminar or an event for practicing. It's called Practicing Buddhism of People of African Descent. They don't say African Americans. Of African descent.
See, all of these categories. See, when the narrative is that you a race, what happens is when you accept it, then you have to glorify this identity, right? You want recognition within this identity now, right? So one of the bones that this country throws to these different racial categories is this little bit of recognition, this inclusion, right? This diversity and inclusion. Like, you different, but we gonna include you. Ain't that how really what diversity and inclusion really is saying? You different, right? You ain't me, but we gonna include you.
Right.
Right? Now culture say you are what you do. If you live in if you the native of the same country, speak the same language, everybody love Jesus, and eat fried fish and macaroni and cheese, right? You are what you do. You the same people. But within a culture of people doing the same thing, you got this narrative of diversity and inclusion. You got this narrative to say, even though y'all doing the same thing, you different, but we gonna include you. That's what it is. See, but when you construct a society where you got these different characteristics fabricated, even though you doing the same thing, the fabricated differences is the bigger narrative. So now within doing the same thing, the same people doing the same thing, the same culture, you got this necessity for diversity and inclusion. Why? Because even though you're doing the same thing, I'ma keep pumping to you that you different, but we gonna include you. And so this race, man, you gotta really accept a lot of inhumane, fabricated stuff, and then accepting that stuff. That's how you had these inorganic interactions between people. You got humanity being stolen from both groups, and this is why you have the racist, what we call racism, or racist situation in America. You've had a constructed society that has been stealing the humanity from its people through the laws by convincing people to opt out of their citizenship and become a exploited class to create supremacy for some and exploitation for others. This is a greedy way to when we understand Dred Scott, we know that they're trying to bring back Rome. That's what this is about. Somebody else say something. Nutter, you got something else to say?
No, that's it.
Our organization, we have to resist these false narratives. Let me go back to, let me see, this who we are. Who are we? You guys are on a humanitarian effort to create as many white people as you can. Because every white person that you create, you take away somebody out of the exploited class. What did Harriet Tubman do? What Harriet Tubman do? Anybody ever heard of Harriet Tubman? Anybody ever heard of the Underground Railroad? What were they doing? What were they doing? What? Somebody tell me what she was doing.
Gathering people to so they can be free, basically.
She was taking them out of bondage into freedom, right?
Yeah.
The Underground Railroad.
Amazingly, well, I don't know if I should say amazingly. It's just when you look, when I was younger learning about her, I'm thinking in my head it was a huge number. Technically, but it really wasn't a huge number of people, like a little over 1,000.
But she was on a humanitarian effort, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
And she was trying, and every slave that she took away, right, and brought to freedom was one less person in bondage.
Yeah.
Right. She is remembered because of her humanitarian effort. And guess what? You say it wasn't that many, but I guarantee you one thing. if you was one of them 1,000, you grateful, ain't you?
Yep.
Watch this.
Yep.
We ain't got that
I
many.
was just, it's just like when you're younger and you know about this stuff, you wasn't really told the more details of it when you learn it more so about it, I guess, later when you're older. It's like, wait a minute, that's the number of people she rescued?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But yet,
That's not a high number.
But
Anyway.
yet she still remembered because
Mhm.
of what she was doing, right? And
Right.
guess what? The magnitude of what she was doing was bigger than the actual numbers,
Right.
right? Don't that sound familiar? Like the, when you understand our organization and what we doing, right? She was bringing them from slave to free, right? We taking them from free to what? Citizen.
Citizen.
That's right. We completing something that she started and that her generation started. They was trying to get into a better position. And the best position, the highest one that they could get to at the time was from slave to free. Now, with our understanding of the American system and how it was constructed, we understand how to go another rung up. Okay?
Yeah.
So this organization, you on a humanitarian effort. What you doing? You educating these refugees, non-whites, of their choice of citizenship in America. How do you do it? You check white. Why? Not because you denying your dark skinnedness. Not because it ain't you're not African. I mean, like everybody African. Like we need to understand that race is a game to steal something from you. And so how you do it, you check white for citizenship. And we kill, right? We kill this understanding of race being your skin. Okay. By checking white, this is a dual thing going on. Because by checking white for citizenship and understand, and the more people that understand that, what's going to happen is the narrative of race being your skin color is going to eventually have to die. Okay. When you got a group of people who can't look at each other and say, "Oh, you white and I'm black," you got a different type of country now. You got a country with one nation, one category. You got a country where you don't have to worry about white guys saying that I don't want my children to marry black people, because you ain't gonna have no black people no more. They're gonna have to come up with another reason why they don't want you to marry me now, because I ain't black no more. Now what? I'm too tall? One nation, one nation, one category, right? Creates a country of citizens. And so every time you take one of these people from free to citizen, you taking you're taking somebody from an exploited class into a citizenship position. So you are Harriet Tubmaning, right? Somebody's status by taking them on that journey. You underground railroading. And then the ultimate thing that comes with this choice.
Jelani?
Yes.
Going back to Harriet Tubman, I'm sure that number mentioned would have been much higher had they known. Okay. Had they known, I'm sure that number would have been much higher. It's just like what we're doing. People don't know what they don't know. Then people, have it's like trying to get people to see what we see. Okay, during this process.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was the same thing back then. Had they known, what that could do for them, then I'm sure the number would have been greater.
Yep.
So yeah, it's interesting, even with what we're doing here. I mean, but people, it's just, to me, it's the conditioning that was put upon us.
Mhm.
And so I mean, it's sad, but you just have to be willing to educate yourself and and be open-minded when it comes to, you know, valuable information such as this. So I just wanted to share that.
You
Yeah.
use the word education, right? When I
Mhm.
when I go and I pull up stuff like Jim Crow laws, I believe that a nation's laws is its education system. And I believe a nation's laws is its education system because it is compelling a particular type of performance. Okay, laws compel you to perform a certain way, and if you don't perform in that way, then you get a penalty, whether it's a fine or imprisonment. And so a nation's laws is its ultimate education system because it teaches the people how to operate within a society. The education system is secondary to the legal system. And so when we read a law that say it shall be unlawful for a Negro and a white person to play together, right? That is education. It is teaching people your position. It is saying that white is superior to black. And not because you feel that way, because that's your attitude. If it is, cool. If it's not, I'm teaching it to you. I'm giving you that position if it's not already there. And so this is a nation's education system is its laws. And so when you talk about, how tough it is to kind of bring this information to different people, you have to understand what you are up against. You're up against, like you said, conditioning through the laws and through the media and through all of these other things. They have been conditioned to be black because the way this country is constructed, it is necessary to have that exploited class. So they're going to teach them as much as they can to enjoy in this black position. They need it. And so we are up against a lot of forces that are trying to keep people black or non-white in this country. We are up against it. But at the same time, what's going to happen, and this is the third one, is that, and this is already happening to some of y'all, is this consciousness shift thing. See, you can't see the world no other way now. You can't see through the black and white lens no more. You are going through, if you haven't all the way gone through it already, a consciousness shift. And so you're going to do your part to help people check white, just because the way you're going to live your life and the way that you comment on things and the way that you see the world, anybody that's around you are going to understand that you're not in the same consciousness that we in. What are you talking about? How can you see that when the narrative is this and we really supposed to be looking at that? And then your response is how trained you are. You think that the way that you understand things is the way that it is, or you think that you've been given that perspective? I can't see the world no more the way that you see it. You want to go around hating white people and not understand how we got to this, you go ahead. But your humanity is lost in that position. And the position that I have in the knowledge of myself is that I got my humanity too. I never had to lose that. When you want to go race and people white, black, cool. But understand that you lost something in that perspective. Your consciousness shift has stolen something from you. You see white and black. You see ghosts. But because yes, I'm listening.
So some of the, like you was mentioning about the laws and the rules and stuff, the laws that do separate, some of them aren't being enforced, but they're still on the books as far as the separation between the classification or categories that has been set up prior to all of this. Even though it's not being enforced, it's still on the books, correct?
It is not being enforced now. Guess what? Some of the stuff is off the books, but this is how I want y'all to understand this, okay? The laws were on the books from 1865 to 1964. That is 99 years, right, of education. Guess what? If I got 99 years in on teaching you a perspective, I don't have to have them on the books anymore. Generations of you understand this country the way that I constructed it. I don't need those on the books anymore. That's why I say to you right now, right now still white people be having a problem with their kids marrying black, right? Some white people right now don't want their kids to marry a black person, right? At one point it was illegal. So this attitude is not organic. At one point in this country, it was against the law. It's not no more, but that don't mean that the remnants of that law ain't still in the people. I done already taught you now. I don't have to keep teaching you. The books, they don't have to be on the books anymore. You got the lesson already. If you didn't get it, I got grandma, right? I got great grandma who taught grandma, who taught your mother, who taught you. Guess what? Jim Crow didn't end to 64. My father was born in 37. My mother was born in the 50s. My parents were born in a time where these books, these laws were on the books. So when we talk about, we really just a generation away. Generation X was taught by people who were under Jim Crow. Let's just think about that. Generation X was taught by people who were under Jim Crow.
It takes work when you're Gen X to work your way out of that. That old mindset versus this, what we're doing.
We still here. So when you ask, are they on the books? They are not necessary to be on the books anymore. You have had 100 years of education. It's in you. But you guys, understanding this information the way that I'm teaching you, with this consciousness shift that you have, you got a different understanding of what's going on. You know that what you do creates culture, right? And if y'all doing the same thing, that you the same people, it ain't got nothing to do with your skin color. And when it comes to law, the only way they can separate you at law is if you ain't a citizen. Because all citizens, you can't have no separate laws. If there's a diversity of law or rights between people in this country, it's because everybody ain't the same status. Not the same skin color, the same status at law. That's what this information is about. Putting you in the right status that you will not be able to be exploited by the laws of this country. And you get your humanity back because you don't have to be looking at another people who are experiencing a position at law that you want. See, they are different to you. They different because they experiencing a position at law that you want to be in. That what creates their difference, not their skin color, their circumstance at law, their status, the way that the law and the country got to treat them. That's what we jealous of. And racism is this understanding where we want to be and understanding that we getting dogged, that we ain't dead. Well, check white. You white too. Knowledge of self tell you that in America, you just as white as any other citizen here. That's knowledge of self. And if you in Mexico, you Mexican. And if you Canadian, if you in Canada, you Canadian. But if you in America, your knowledge of self tells you that the highest status here is white, and that's what you are. You are the highest status everywhere you go. All right, somebody else say something. We got 30 more minutes, and I got 19% left on my phone. So what y'all want to do? When a white person says, I don't like black people, this is where I'm gonna end this conversation. All right. We gotta let white people off the hook. Watch this. When a white person say they don't like black people, can I explain to you what they saying they don't like? Because they don't know you. dark-skinned people, they don't personally know you. But let me explain to you, when they say, I don't like black people, they don't like the identity. Okay? They don't like this fabricated, they don't like, look, they don't like the idea of a people being, having a life of poverty, depression, ignorance, and decay. They don't like the idea of somebody without motive and hope. Okay? When somebody say they don't like black or black people, I want y'all to understand that they don't know you personally. This ain't about you. I need y'all to understand what they don't like, so y'all can stop feeling some type of way when y'all hear these quote unquote racist things. They don't like the idea of a people with little prospect, a life of poverty, depression, ignorance, and decay. Guess what? Some of these same people that be like, I don't like black people, right? They wouldn't have no problem with their kids marrying somebody from the continent of Africa, somebody with a nationality. I guarantee you, because a part of that identity ain't poverty, depression, ignorance, decay, lack of motive, and lack of hope. That don't come with Ghanaian. That don't come with Nigerian. That don't come with South African. It come with black. And who should like that? Who should want that? My humanity say, I don't want my peoples associated with nobody that's got a life of poverty, depression, ignorance, decay either. I don't want my kids to marry black either, if that's what it means. So when white people say they don't like black, it's not you. It's not your personal humanity they don't like. They don't like the identity, and nobody should. And I just want I want to end on that. I just want y'all to understand that black is nothing to love or like. And when somebody don't like it, it's not racism. It's the identity and all this what the identity means that they don't like. And that's how we can stop taking stuff personal. Nobody should like that. I'll leave y'all with that.
All right.
That was good. That was good. Thank you for that.
Thank
You
you.
really broke that down.
And hopefully that one was recorded. I'll let y'all know Monday morning when y'all go to that YouTube channel, if it's more than 30 minutes or if it's a part 1, 2, and 3, y'all know that we were successful. And I did this one without cussing y'all out, so I feel accomplished today. Oh man, painless this time. All right. So yeah, any comments or questions right now? Y'all got the floor for y'all got another 24 minutes.
Going back to what you were saying earlier about things being off the book, but that's still that same mindset. You can see it so much. I don't know, maybe in the South, because even on the news and different things like that, they still have these, say, categories or classifications where they're identifying people, from the actions that has been, I guess, put in the mindset of everyone.
Yeah.
So if you don't want, it's a rebellious thing, like you say, a white person and a black person, so-called, to marry or to do any of that stuff, especially in the South. I grew up in the South.
It's still a rebellious thing. It's still a rebellious thing. And see, we need to stop thinking that when we accept the narrative that these are our God-given positions, we don't be trying to understand why. We just throw racism on it and keep it moving. But when you take your humanity back, you can ask the question, why are these attitudes still here, right? And then when you really ask yourself that question, you gotta understand, Jim Crow ended in 1964. A country, not a people attitudes, but a country's laws created separation. When we talk about diversity, the laws created the diversity. They separated you. And but the narrative is one group wanted it that way and one group didn't want it that way. Well, we gotta defeat that narrative. Nobody wanted that. And then when we can say it that way, then we don't have to look at white people like I'm the victim and you ain't the. Nah, we all got victimized from this. We did. And we can accept that together. We can heal together. Yes, one person, one group benefited and another group didn't. That's true. But we all lost because we lost humanity to create this situation. So yeah, you're right. The remnants of this is still here. And when we understand who we are, knowledge of self, we can understand why we got there. And when people really start to understand why these quote unquote racist feelings are here, and we can go to the law and point right to the law, then we can say, all right, this is not something that you really feel. This is something that you had to adjust to because the law made you.
Absolutely.
I know Tanisha ain't gonna be on this call and not say something. I know. Now look, we done had Nutter that had her question that ain't never simple always. We done already had another question. But you mean to tell me we ain't gonna hear nothing from Tanisha? Tanisha, the floor is yours, dear.
Hey, white lady! Speak it! I gotta speak it now! we were talking last night, and Tanisha, you can chime in on it because you were talking about an old friend popped up again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was probably right around, it was maybe like 3 weeks before I made the correction. Before I initially made the correction. And this was, I think, at that point, I don't know if you probably, I think it was right, I had just did an interview with another company at that point, and I was starting to come into this knowing. I guess I don't know if that's the right word for it. And I was literally, I don't want to bring it up on this platform, but I was, and Kenita can chime in on this, because I was about to literally go through the attention span process right before I got interviewed.
Yeah, and I had stuff to skirt, so, wait a minute!
Yeah. And so here I am looking all like, what the hell? So now I felt like I was like absolutely lost. And that was when Kenita, she texted me the whole thing of changeyourrace.info. And at that point, I think I was probably, I was literally like, kind of like, I now realizing the trick bag of everything that was going on. And my good friend of mine, I'm not going to mention her name here, but she is white in every sense of the word, complexion and otherwise, but she noticed my energy shift. And she kept saying how she didn't see race. And so there was a little bit of this tit for tat back and forth. And remember, I was still contracting as black. I was literally still contracting as black at that point. I had to have made this sex correction for like maybe 3 weeks later. And let's just say our friendship time at that point, it was cut very short. And it hasn't, and I don't know what it was, I don't know what happened, because I haven't spoken to her since then. And she literally reached out to me telling us, hey, let's get together next week. And I'm like, what? Like, it almost didn't even make no sense to me. But I'm like, maybe there could be a fundamental energy that is now being put out because now I no longer have that dark cloud hanging over my head. And maybe she's picked up on it innately. I don't know. But I am like, as far as energetically speaking, it's much different. So now she's coming back into the fold. I even have old co-workers from years ago who I haven't talked to in so long. Now they're all starting to come back into the fold. I'm just going to say it just like this. I'm a white magnet right now.
So there's a shift change.
Right. Very much so. Very much a huge shift change. And also, and I even put it in the chat. I put it in the chat that my credit score bounced. In a good way. In a good way. I want to make that very clear. So now, one negative on my credit. So now, it went from being a 555 up to a 619. I got one more negative to be removed before it jacks up to 100. So that'll probably be in another couple of weeks to a month.
That is great.
Yep. And this all goes back to again being white. So I'm actually seeing a switch in my credit score right now, real time right now. I don't know what else to tell y'all, but that's pretty much my update. Oh, so now here comes Shalani. Okay.
No, I was. Oh, y'all. Somebody. Oh, I'm sorry. I stepped away real quick. I'm sorry. Nature calls sometimes, man.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Good class today, y'all. I'm going to edit this thing up and get this to y'all ASAP. I think the subject matter in this one is something that is necessary for the healing of race relations right now. And some of the things that I say is things that need to be said, but don't nobody want to say them. Oh, it's over. All right, y'all.
Oh man.
The recording has stopped. I'll see y'all next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Y'all already know.
Sure.
All right.
Peace, y'all.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
Hold up. Hold up. Hold up.
Oh, okay. You can stop recording.
You jerk.
No playing games, man. I was about to say, don't we got 15 more minutes, man?